Welcome back. It's Couch Report, and it's time to take a leap over to DC's Black Label for the much anticipated Superman, the Kryptonite Spectrum by W. Maxwell Prince and Martin Morazzo, the creators of Ice Cream Man, alongside Chris O'Halloran. So I have been really looking forward to this book. I did a little video earlier which had a little bit of a preview of what's going on, and in my endeavour to read more Superman, because I've been trying to get into Superman a bit more. He's never been one of my characters. I'm more a Marvel guy, and I love the Bat family for DC. So I'm branching out, and this is a Black Label book. It's a little bit more grittier. So I thought this would be interesting alongside all the other super titles that I've been picking up to try and find out a little bit more about the Man of Steel. So having said that long introduction, I'm going to go for this book page by page. There will be spoilers, so please read the book beforehand if you don't want to spoil. Like the video if you like the video, and if you can, hit that subscribe button. So Black Label usually means we're getting something a bit more adult, a bit more grittier, something that doesn't have to be canon, something that's outside the realms of everything that you would expect from the normal mainline books. And that's what I like about it. So again, I really do like the art. It reminds you of Frank Whiteley. Let's dive in. So there are different kryptonites, as you already know, but there are more kryptonites, and Superman discovers there is this meteorite or meteoroid that has amassed a number of these differing kryptonites, and he thinks, right, I need to find out what these are all about, how they affect me. I need to also keep them out of the hands of the bad guys, right? So he's got his super robots out there, and they bring it down to his fortress of Solitude. We get a few pages, which is kind of like a quick overview of Superman, right? So if you've not read Superman before, you get a kind of little snapshot of who he is very quickly. You know, fast and speeding bullet. Is it like fly in the air like a bird on a plane? All that kind of jazz. And it goes through some of his powers. And then we're introduced to the existing kryptonites we know about, and explains that green hurts him. That's his kind of like Achilles heel. The red makes him angry. The black splits his brain into two, and the gold robs him of his powers. So those are the existing ones that we know about. But these new ones are very, very interesting. Now, Lex Luthor's a bit upset that this news of these new kryptonites has been brought to him late, and he hasn't been able to snatch it out of the orbit and use it against Superman to kill him. And he's very upset about this. And his scientist guy here said, well, listen, our satellites detected it, but it's a 15-minute delay. And that's why, you know, it's taken 15 minutes to let you know. And he's like, I don't care, you're fired. Your 401k. 401k has already been filed. Your office is being emptied. The pictures of your family are property of Lex Corp. We're going to dispose of those. You're out. But before you go, make yourself useful. And he's like, I'm really angry about this. I want to know if these new forms of kryptonite could kill him. So Superman, anyway, he's investigating. He realizes that he needs the world's greatest detective to help him figure out what's going on with these kryptonites. So he gives him a little call on his little bat phone, and he's in the middle of taking down some of the Professor Pig's bad guys, right? And he's saying, yeah, okay, I'll come and help you. I'll come and help you. So he finishes off the goons and the old Professor Pig, and he's off to the Fortress of Solitude. Now, the robots in here are quite cool. They work on logic. They are not programmed to sort of speak or act like a human would. They only react to the input given and how they give a logical response. They're kind of funny. I like their design and how they speak. And Batman gets there, and he sort of lets him know, after old Krypto tries to buy his cape, that he has a little bit of green kryptonite on him. He keeps it on there at all times. Now, Superman knows this. He knows it's sort of contingency plan. It still upsets him a little bit that his friend, right, because they are friends, still carries us around just in case. And then we introduce these new kryptonites, which have been aptly named Purple Kryptonite, Cobalt Kryptonite, Speckle Kryptonite, and Rainbow K. Now, Batman's saying, listen, destroy them. We don't know what they do. We don't know what it will cause if you're exposed to them. You could turn into some kind of doomsday monster, destroy the earth. We don't know, right? It's too much of a risk to take. You shouldn't be taking this risk. You shouldn't be putting us in harm's way, potentially. Destroy them. And Superman's very persistent that, no, I need to know what they do, because maybe some more comes out of orbit and the bad guys get it, and I'm not going to know how to deal with it. So he convinces Batman. And like I say, against Batman's protestations, right, Batman decides to help. He sort of appeals to his greatest detective ego, and he's like, okay, let's help you. So they start with the purple one. This is where they get a little bit clever, actually, with dialogue boxes, because the long short story of this, the shorter version of this story is this one, it dilates time in Superman's brain. So instead of everything being linear, he's seeing moments in the future, moments in the past, and he can't basically put them in order. So we start getting these speech bubbles once they've sort of blasted him with a minute part of this purple kryptonite, and you see these little purple dialogue boxes like, he's going to throw that thing, watch out. And he's like, throw what? So Superman's confused about what's going on. So all these little purple dialogue boxes are something that's happening in a different part of the timeline, let's just say, like immediate timeline. So while that's happening, Jimmy Olsen beeps his watch and says, Superman, we need you. Because, Lex Luthor here, he set out Solomon Grundy. He set it out there in the city to cause havoc, to try, I guess, bring Superman out from where he is so he can, get these kryptonites for some terrible reason that Lex Luthor obviously has in his head. He decides to use Solomon Grundy, the monster. And that's exactly what happens. Now, we get more of this purple K's effect on Superman. We see that when he looks at the calendar, even the dates are mixed and not in order. So everything isn't sequential, essentially. So he flies off with Batman to see Lois and Jimmy, and he starts getting more of these flashbacks. He's seeing Lois Lane sort of saying, listen, I'm in my 40s now, is our relationship working out moments? And it's sort of like the kryptonite isn't like... it isn't wearing off, right? It isn't wearing off just yet. So Superman shouldn't be out fighting Solomon Grundy, and Batman's saying, listen, you shouldn't be doing this. We don't know what's going to happen. But again, Superman, I find Superman's a little bit out of sorts here, because not just the kryptonite, but I would think that maybe he would say to himself, you know what, you're right. I actually might cause more harm here. Let's call in, Green Lantern. Let's call in some of our other heroes to help get Solomon Grundy out of the way. But he doesn't. He's very sort of, in a way, I say selfish, right? He's selfish and he wants to do it. So they have this big fight and it's all out of place. Like I say, the moments of time are all mixed up, and you start hearing things you heard on previous panels, right? So that time is sort of now catching up with the right time. And it is quite clever. I quite like it. And then after the fight's over, or rather, as we see the fight over, we get all those panels put in the sequential order that they should have been in, and he's realizing what's going on. So, after Superman punched him so hard, Grundy basically leaves the orbit of the Earth to float in space, okay? They decide to go back to the Fortress of Solitude and continue testing, or maybe wait till this one's worn off before the next test. Lewis isn't happy, right? They've got relationship problems here. And neither is Lex. So he decides to... up the ante a little bit, right? He's got this, wild card that he's going to send out there, some kind of weapon or being, and he's upping the potency levels, like he's quadrupling them. He wants to basically cut this project he's working on time in half to get it out there and battle Superman, because he wants these kryptonites more than anything. So we rejoin Batman. He's been bandaged up, and Superman's still sort of dazed and out of it. And sneakily, the Bat, he puts a little piece of that purple kryptonite in one of his little pouches there, because he's thinking, maybe I can use this in the future as a contingency only if Superman goes off the rails. Of course, that's what Bruce would do, right? So it's very, very in character. So he explains what's happened to Superman, and Clark's still out of it. And Clark basically thinks, it's later on that day, but it turns out it's not. It's the next day, because he thinks, I've got to go to this date with Lewis. He's like, no, you had your date with Lewis last night. And that's where we discover that he's still under the sort of influence of this purple kryptonite. And Batman's like, dude, we've got to put this stuff away. It's no good. It is wearing off, all right? But we've got to just like pack it all up. But Superman, he wants the next test, and they go to the cobalt kryptonite, which I don't know why on earth, right? That's not in some protective case. It looks like it's in some kind of case, but it's not enough, because this one makes Spider-Man, or rather Spider-Man, I've just read Spider-Man, makes Superman grow. So this one obviously supersizes him, apparently. It says, next issue, a supersized super surprise courtesy of this Azure extraterrestrial artifact. So basically it's enlarged him. So he's a giant Superman. So what are my thoughts about this book? Now, I was extremely excited by this book. Very, very excited by this book. And I think there's a lot of setup in this book. And I'm kind of 50-50 about it, right? I like it, but I thought I was going to love it. I thought I was going to go, wow, that was just like, that was like one of the best things I've read this week. And I don't feel that way. And I feel a bit sad about it, because there's nothing to not like here, right? It's just an interesting, fun story, okay? Beautifully drawn, beautifully coloured, and well written. But I was just expecting more of a punch, especially as it's a Black Label book. But like I said, I don't dislike it at all. I am going to read the rest of the run. I think it's a good Superman book. I mean, you could probably tell me if this is, a very Superman book. I don't know if it's vastly different from what proper Superman fans consider a Superman book, but it was fun. There's nothing bad about it. I like the clever idea of how they sort of dilated time and sequentially moved time around with the paneling in the book and how it all caught up at the end. So it is a really good book. I've really enjoyed it, and I will be looking forward to what happens with the next Kryptonites. Although some people are saying they're bored of Kryptonite, for me, because this is kind of like my sort of big foray into really getting under the cape of Superman, I've not been exposed, pun intended, to too many Kryptonite stories. So, I think it's pretty cool. There we go. Those are my thoughts. Do let me know yours. Please subscribe if you can. Hit like if you like the video. We'll catch you in the next one.